DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Founded by the first family of Florida State Coffee and based in Pensacola, Florida, DeLuna Coffee is the driving passion of the Lemmix family. Ed, his wife Courtney, and their son Brett. Their tailgating spot out front of the Unconquered statue is their own slice of paradise. But the real delight is DeLuna's blend of Kona, Maui, Kenya, Colombian, and Brazilian beans that they call their liquid gold brew. In fact, they called it Paradise. Try it or one of their 24 blends and get a discount when you use the promo code WARCHANT15. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Azan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. WarChant.com remains your ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code is WarChant30. Use it. Join the tribe. It'll improve your life, probably. Thumbs up button indicating a like if you're listening to us on YouTube. A lot of you folks have migrated over to YouTube here because we've had problems with iTunes for about a week now. I'm hoping that this has now reached you folks on your fancy schmancy Cupertino, California engineered Apple devices. I think we've got it in place. Gene's been trying to figure it out, playing whack-a-mole. So if you're not listening to us on Apple device now, hopefully by the end of the week, it usually takes about 24 hours for changes to go in effect. Speaking of 24 hours, I bet this guy just wants to go to bed for 24 hours. But here he is, grinding for all of you. Corey S. Clark. What up, bud? How are you?
That's just what I do. I grind. That's why they call me the grinder. You know that. I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. I was battling on the tribal council trying to defend your honor, our honor. I don't want to bring you down. You had a long journey traveling. Dave in Bardstown, Kentucky was trying to start a GoFundMe. Mark in Naples was also going to match funds and try to get you a fancy schmancy hotel in Indianapolis so you could just stay up there. But you got in your car Tuesday and drove all the way back down, and I guess are going to end up going back in, I don't know, under 72 hours or so?
No, I'll go back on whatever that would be, Friday night. So okay. My plan is, because people are interested,
yes.
Number one, I do have to be a dad. I can't, we have joint custody, so I can't have Brady off for 2 weeks without me being around. So I'm going to come back and be a dad for a few days, shelter him, feed him, clothe him, all the things you do for a child. But so he's got a baseball tournament this weekend, and usually those deals are Saturday and Sunday. But this week, as luck would have it, his pool play games are on Friday night. So my thought was, well, maybe Brady would want to go with me to Indianapolis. He's a huge basketball fan. You can get tickets now. They're expensive. They're not cheap because it's the whole idea of supply and demand when there's only 1,100 seats available. But I think my plan now is to watch him play. He's going to play a couple of games on Friday night. We're going to start the drive to Indianapolis when he's done. Get about halfway. Get up in the morning, drive the rest of the way, and then go watch a couple games at Hinkle Fieldhouse on Saturday night.
Dude, that's awesome. I love it.
We'll see how it goes. He might make me mad, and I might just say, "Screw it, you're staying with your mom."
Okay.
But he's got to walk the fine line in the next 3 or 4 days. But yeah, that's the plan, and I'll try to get him I will get him a ticket to the Florida State Michigan game as well, and we'll see how it goes. The only problem, and I hesitate to say this because Shanna listens to the show, and I know she hasn't thought about this. If Florida State beats Michigan, which isn't out of the realm of possibility by any shape, then Brady, right now, she thinks he's just going to miss 1 day of school. Like, if Michigan beat Florida State, we'd still stay Sunday night. We get on the road Monday. He can do it virtually. He can do school virtually from the car, and we can be on the road and be back home. Well, if Florida State wins, they play again Tuesday night.
Ooh. So
I think that would be the schedule. So then instead of just missing the 1 day of school, he would then be missing Monday night. He'd be missing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from school, which his mom wouldn't be a huge fan of. Now, he can still do some of it virtually, so that would help. But, yeah, this is the first time she's finding out about that, as she probably listens to this show. So there we go. But I thought it was worth it. It's been a crazy year. We've all had to go through a lot, Aslan, including kids. And I haven't gotten to really do a whole lot with him, fun dad stuff. And I thought maybe this would be a cool opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, worst comes to worst. I mean, can't you just take him to the airport, put him on a jet plane? I mean, I'm sure there's a straight shot from Indy to Atlanta. It's going to be like, what, hour and a half in the air and back home. Worst comes to worst.
Or I mean, an Uber. I mean, I feel like an Uber can get him there too. I can't imagine how much that would cost. Probably $800, but I could Uber him home. Yeah. But no, that's not going to happen. He can do it virtually. That's the beauty of where he goes to school. Hopefully, he can do it virtually. But either way, man, like I figure he's going to have to miss his last day of his tournament. But that's worth it. He even said it. He's like, well, I play in a ton of baseball tournaments.
He does.
And so he does. Trying to record these shows on Sunday nights. So, yeah, man, so that makes it a little more exciting, a little more appealing to go back up for the second straight weekend.
Okay.
But I appreciate people wanting to have a GoFundMe to keep me. But it wasn't necessarily the cost of it as much as just, I had to come back home and hang out with Brady for a little while.
Right. And there's not a lot of ROI, return on investment, kids. Of you being in Indianapolis, like if you were in Indianapolis right now, what would you have done all day Tuesday? Like content.
Yeah.
I guess you could have helped out. You wouldn't have been on the road. You could have maybe helped out or listened into the Mike Norvell press conference, which you listened to on YouTube, I'm sure, when you were driving back down. So,
sure.
And then, Wednesday into Thursday into Friday, all that.
I mean, I could have been on a scooter, been a lot of time on the scooter, which would have
been.
helped, just scooting around Indianapolis. Yeah, it wouldn't have been a great return on it. And I was thinking about that, man. Like, why aren't they playing – shouldn't Florida State be playing on, like – shouldn't these games be like Thursday and Friday? Or Wednesday and Thursday?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Like
they're keeping it that kind of staggered date. It's usually obviously Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, week 1 and week 2, and then you go to whatever was it, Saturday, and then Monday's the national championship game. But they're pushing it. They're delaying it by a day, doing this whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday thing. Well, then now they're doing into Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But I think next week for the national championship game, it's going to go back to the way it's always been. So like that's going to be a little bit of a compressed schedule because I think it's going to be Saturday.
I just thought, like, wouldn't you try to compress it now? You still got 16 teams left. You'd hate for somebody not to be able to play, knock on wood, because of COVID and contact tracing. It just seems like you'd want to expedite it. You'd want to speed it up, shrink the time in between games. Florida State has 5 days off?
Yeah. I
mean, that's crazy. That's more than they would have had if it was a normal tournament. That just seems bizarre to me. That they did this like this. Like, I would have thought you played Monday, you play again on Thursday. You get 2 days off. I know that's not normal, but nothing about this is normal. So then, the teams that won on Sunday night, they would play Thursday. The teams that won on Monday night would play Friday. And it'd be the normal sweep. You'd have and then if you wanted the regular week-long, the regular tournament formula to come back, you'd do it next week when there's only 4 teams that have to bubble up instead of 16 teams. It doesn't make a lot of – so basically they've trimmed it by a day. From first round to the end of the tournament, they shrunk it by a day. That to me seems just – and this hasn't been shrunk at all. Like I just thought – I mean, I know it's not ideal, but Florida State shouldn't be playing on Sunday. In my opinion, they should be playing Friday. And if that had happened, I probably would have just stayed up there, I guess.
Yeah, agreed.
But no, 5 days off with nothing, not a whole lot to do up there in old Indianapolis.
Let me bring you down a peg, though. Again, these guys were going to try to do a GoFundMe. That's how much they like you. They were going to bankroll you. There's a thread on the Tribal Council that's critical about one of the folks in local media here in Tallahassee, our own Jeff Cameron, or not our own, but friend of the program, Jeff Cameron, which I thought Jeff has been pro Hamilton forever. I thought he's always been pro Hamilton, but apparently. Maybe had some criticism, but this speaks just to the fact that I shouldn't even talk to people anymore. I don't even know how to communicate with people anymore, Corey, because one person said, just listen to Monday's Wake Up Warchant podcast. Corey sounds so pessimistic. I think he should be recalled immediately. And what was that question he asked polite afterwards? Something along the lines of, you played so badly down the stretch. What happened tonight? So negative. If you don't mind, Corey, I would like to actually play that question, if you don't mind. Can I do that?
Sure.
Our next question is from Corey Clark.
Anthony, you said defense is what carries you guys, and that's been the case. But there have been some slip-ups. There were some slip-ups late in the year defensively for you guys. Mm-hmm. What is it? Just a matter of playing in the NCAA tournament, knowing it's one and done? Like, it seems like that's as good as you guys have played defensively all year these last 2 games.
Mm-hmm. I personally did not really find that to be rude or overly critical. Somebody then replies, Corey gets overly critical sometimes. It gets very tiring at times. If that's the question Corey asked, then he loses my respect. Polite played great, 22 points, and was a great ambassador for the program during his interview. Gene needs to have a serious conversation with Corey about this. To which I say, conversation about what exactly? And this was his question, word for word, verbatim. And I copied and pasted the ASAP transcript. And I asked the guy, this bothers you? To which point, somebody then hops in and says, hey, Aslan, go see what Jimbo is up to. So that's going on too. So
that's good stuff. Yeah, I'm surprised Anthony just didn't stand up and walk out.
Yeah.
Like, again with this negativity, Clark, again, did you not see us in South Bend when we just shut those guys down? How dare you talk about – I mean, look, man, it's fine. I don't care about that. But anybody thinking that was a negative question, or more importantly, thinking that the defense you saw Florida State play in Indianapolis this weekend looked anything like you saw at the tail end of this season, you don't watch basketball or don't know it. And I don't quite understand how you could watch how they played defense these last 2 games and think, yep, that's what we've seen all year. And I'm not judging them. It's a long season. Things happen. But if they had played defense like they did those 2 games against Notre Dame, they would be hanging another banner. I don't know that means I'm being negative. It's a point of fact. And if they play defense like they did this weekend, next weekend, they're going to be hanging a Final Four banner. So it goes both ways. They're good enough to go to the Final Four. I guess I'm negative. I don't think Leonard would think that, but that's fine. But I certainly didn't get the answer from Anthony that I was hoping for. But even still, yeah, man, it's fine. I couldn't even fathom how somebody would think. By the way, the guy summed up my question horribly.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, Anthony, remember when you were so bad defensively all season? I did not say that.
Yeah.
They had some slip-ups defensively that nobody would argue with. They gave up 50-something points to Georgia Tech in the second half. They gave up more points to Georgia Tech in the second half than they gave up to Colorado for an entire game, or close to it. And then they had the awful game against Notre Dame. It's not negative to point out that defense then, down the stretch, didn't look anything like what has been ramped up these last 2 games.
Yeah. Well, that's, somebody was also commenting about the announcers, anti-FSU, they're annoying. And someone was like, yeah, they couldn't resist taking a shot at our football program. Because Nessler was on the call, and Lavin's talking about how great this program is now, and how Leonard has been at Oklahoma State, he's been at Miami, now Florida State. Programs, schools that you kind of think of as, quote, football schools, but he's turned them into these basketball powers. And then Nessler's like, I'm sure they'd love for him to, coach the football team. And then, Lavin, kind of laughed, and then Nessler was talking about, trust me, though, they really want that football team to get back on the rise of Florida State. Which is obviously, everybody wants Florida State to be doing well if you're a Florida State fan watching that telecast, but some people thought that was Nessler, taking a shot at the football team. Everybody knows the football team is not performing all that well right now, and how important it is to Florida State fans to see their football team be successful. And just because he's pointing out the fact that they're hungry for success doesn't mean he's, tap dancing on our grave or anything. But it just goes to the point that unfortunately, too many times it seems like people hear kind of what they want to hear. It's like a Rorschach test, right? If you heard Corey's question, we played it. That was verbatim. That was not doctored. That wasn't a deep fake or anything. And a lot of people did. There was a couple guys, Pops Noles, a couple dudes came in there. I think Kurt, friend of the program, probably listened to this on his jog with his dogs. They're just like, hey, man, if you think that's negative, I don't know what to say. But anyhow, I just wanted to, I know you don't read your mentions all the time, Corey. You're still at 99.9% approval rating. But just want to kind of bring you down and let you know what it's like to be in my world, my neighborhood.
But the difference is those people are justified when they say negative things about you. This guy was just completely incorrect. That wasn't a negative question. It was actually a positive question. They're the best defense in the tournament these past 2 games. They were not the best defense in the country for most of the season. They were good. They were fine, but they had what some might term as slip-ups.
Yeah.
Defensively there lately. In fact, I think somebody did term it a slip-up. And, I'd like to appreciate Anthony for being a professional and staying and answering those hard-hitting questions that must have made him so uncomfortable. But he showed a lot. He showed a lot of heart and a lot of pride by sitting down.
Yeah, a lot of class, taking that mud and making a hut out of it. Showed a lot of class. By the way, the person that said go see what Jimbo is up to, I responded to them and said beating Florida and winning New Year's Six bowls.
So come on, man!
We'll
we don't need that.
We'll see how that Civil War carries out. We'll see how the Civil War. We'll see how the Civil War carries out over on the tribal council.
I wonder if he can block you. Can he block you? Can you be blocked as like an administrator?
Yeah, you can mute people. Yeah, you can mute people.
I didn't know if you could be muted, though.
Oh, I'm sure
I guess you could.
I'm just a cog in the wheel, brother. I'm just a cog.
That's right. We both are.
The wheel. Hopefully your folks are not spinning your wheels on your March Madness picks with your bracket. Hopefully you're doing well in your pools with your buddies. If not, hey, why don't you get involved over on mybookie.ag. That promo code's still going strong. It's Warchant. They will match your deposit 100%. I think up to $1,000. I think even our friend James B said that he dabbled a little bit and put some money on Loyola twice and for Oral Roberts to make it to the Sweet 16 past the Gators. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. They didn't have it when we were doing the show the other night, but just to see where we're at right now with Florida State's odds to win the national title. Right now, Florida State sits at plus 1,900, Corey. So if you weren't on the negative bus and you were lock, stock, and fully loaded on them before they took the court against North Carolina Greensboro, you had a really good line at 3,300. Now it's 1,900. So that $10,000 bet's only going to get you $190,000.
Yeah. So they were 3,300, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense that it would go down because. Who is the worst? Is it Oral Roberts? Does it have a list?
It sure does.
Like from 1 to 16?
Oral Roberts says they are 11,000 to 1. 10,000 on Oral Roberts would get you $1,100,000.
Okay. And what about 10,000 on Gonzaga?
10,000 on Gonzaga. Let's see here as I pull it up here. Gonzaga, meanwhile, is plus 140. So $10,000 gets you $14,000.
Okay.
Not nearly as exciting.
No, but I tell you what, if you're convinced that nobody's going to beat them, that's a free $4,000.
Yeah.
Just it's a $4,000, $4 G's.
Go check them out. mybookie.ag promo code Warchant.
Again, though, in this particular tournament, with the way things can fall on a test,
right?
Like, I don't know that I'd feel comfortable taking any of these future type bets because you just don't know. If they're going to, what about the people that had VCU on like the money line? Do they get their money back or they just lost the bet?
Yeah, I think they all got labeled as a push because I had Oregon.
Oh, good.
So good. So
I wasn't even talking about my bookie. I meant like just in Vegas. Like how would those casinos handle something like that?
I think that's how they handle it.
All right, that's good. Yeah. So hey, the Noles keep making believers out of people. It's starting to go down. Again, I think do they have a line yet out on the Michigan game?
Let me see if I can go ahead and pull that up. I'm sure they do. Sweet 16 odds. That's all available again on mybookie.ag. Right now, Florida State sits as a 3-point underdog against Michigan.
Yeah. Now, I assume that's thinking that the Livers kid won't play, or if he does play, he's limited. He's probably their best player. Again, when you look at the draw that Florida State had, obviously, I guess now looking back on it, you'd have rather been in Illinois' bracket. Because now you'd be playing Loyola Chicago, although they controlled Illinois. Like maybe you don't want any part of that team because they were really impressive. But when the tournament started, I said I thought Michigan was probably the one seed. If you had to match up with one, that was the one you'd want to see. Not because they're not great, they are, but they are missing probably their best player. He's their second leading scorer. He's their second leading rebounder. He's their best 3-point shooter, Isaiah Livers, and he's the only one that played in that game 2 or 3 years ago in the Elite Eight.
3 years ago. Can you believe it?
No, it seems just like yesterday.
It really does.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then everybody all upset because Leonard didn't foul with 9 seconds left or whatever. But look, Florida State has a real chance here. Like this is an opportunity. You could always say that. Yeah. But I just think I would not feel great about their chances against Gonzaga or Baylor. I'm not saying they couldn't beat those guys. Number one, I don't think Gonzaga's will have been guarded. They haven't been guarded like Florida State
exactly.
guarded.
That's the thing. Yeah, no one has seen anything like Florida State that's left in this tournament.
So it might take them a few, but they got NBA dudes that would eventually figure it out, I think. And you would just have to hope the offense, the Florida State offense, could go toe to toe with them. Because look, man, basketball is great. When you defend, that's great. It gives you the best chance to win. But sometimes guys just make shots, tough shots, and good offense can beat good defense occasionally in the sport. And but yeah, I think Gonzaga would be a tough matchup. Baylor obviously is really good. I just think Michigan, when you look at it as those 1 seeds, without Livers, they're beatable.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then you have potentially Alabama, who absolutely blew the doors off of Maryland. So, but then again, who knows about the Big Ten? The Big Ten could be a total fraud. We'll see. They got one team left standing, and it's the team that's standing in front of Florida State. Man, I said I wasn't gonna bet anymore, but I don't know, man. I like picking maybe Florida State straight up as a dog. Syracuse plus 210 as a dog against Houston. I mean, check back later in the week, everybody. But don't just zag on whatever I say, though, because I've put you folks into a pit of despair, which I feel terrible about.
Well, then take Michigan. Maybe that would be the best thing for Florida State is if you took Michigan.
Okay.
Maybe that would.
But I want to win
money. You know
money.
What I mean?
I want to win money, though, Corey. You know?
Well, do you want to win money or do you want to help the program get to the Final Four? Like, that's kind of what you have to ask yourself.
That's why I never.
Like, if you bet against Florida State, Florida State will probably win.
Yeah, it's why I've never bet on anything involving Florida State, other than like friendly wagers with friends. But I've never put money on Florida State because it would just make it, doubly as painful. And then how am I going to smile like after they lose? Like, oh yeah, it's won $150. They just lost. It's okay, man.
Right? Yeah.
Anybody want a beer? I got you. I'm feeling good.
I was thinking about
if I put 10 G's on Gonzaga to win it all and they played Florida State in the Final Four, $4,000.
I was going to say, like, when you were in Pasadena for the Auburn game,
yeah,
what would have been the money? And Auburn was a pretty substantial underdog, so I don't know what the money line was, but it was pretty substantial. What amount of money would you have been winning to make you okay with, like, say, that pass to Benjamin is tipped and intercepted in the end zone? What amount of money would you have had to win on that play to make you feel okay with not losing with losing the national championship?
I don't want to answer that because I don't think it's that.
You're putting a price tag on your fandom.
Well, yeah, and then people are like, that's it. But it's like, hey, man, like, I don't know, $75,000 to me probably carries a lot more weight than it does to a lot of people that are listening to this podcast.
Dude, if you were in line to make $75,000 and Benjamin rips it from you by making that catch, I don't think people would have been upset if you were in tears. Like, that's a lot of money to be right there, and then Jameis and Rashad and Benjamin just rip it from you.
But people are listening to this, and they're like, I would never do that. Like, you can, never. And that was a priceless moment. I remember talking to my good friend who, went to UT Austin, lives out in Austin, and he went when he was a student to watch the 2005 Rose Bowl, whatever the national title game was, Vince Young versus Southern Cal.
Yeah.
And he was a student, and he just talked about like all the things he had to go through to get out to Pasadena, get a ticket, get into the stadium, all that kind of stuff. And he was like the first person who texted me, and because I was like complaining about like the plane ticket or whatever, and he's like, dude, it's all. He's like, you don't even care about it anymore, do you? What your bank account looks like right now? And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, this feels amazing. And the great thing is they're all coming back next year, and we're going to do it again.
Well, look,
we didn't though.
Yeah, it didn't quite happen. But hey, they gave you still a lot of fun moments next season. A lot of hand wringing too, but they still got you to the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the line. I can't find the line, but I maybe didn't do as great of a search. I'm terrible at this sort of stuff, Corey. You figure like 3 years of us doing this, I'd be a little bit better at live research, but alas,
it's fine.
I'm not sorry. All right, let's talk a little bit about football. We're gonna do Renegade Express tomorrow. Or, I think we'll do tomorrow, and then, I don't know, Corey, I think we'll do a live show Thursday for Friday, if that's, we're doing a little behind the...
Yeah, that should be fun.
Okay.
I think that should be fun, yeah.
All right, we'll let you folks know. Probably a 7 o'clock kick on the live show, so do join us for that.
I would prefer, I'll be honest, I prefer it a little earlier,
okay,
but again,
6?
this is a production meeting. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it beforehand.
All right, so we spoke to Mike Norvell as well as receivers coach Ron Dugans and Tate Rodemaker and let's say Sidney Poitier, but Kentron. The way that Ron Dugans pronounced, like I think we call him Kentron, but he said it in a different way. I think he put like a different emphasis on the syllable, if that's possible.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think how else could you say Kentron? Kentron? Maybe it's Kentron instead of Kentron. Anyhow,
It's like Albany and Albany, or Louisville and Louisville.
there you go.
Louisville, right?
Yeah,
Louisville.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's right. So we spoke to them. There is no open practice to the media for this week. That's just letting you folks know it's not a complaint whatsoever. Who knows? Maybe they'll allow us to watch Saturday. The scrimmage thing seemed to be a little bit of a out of left field thing, which was an awesome surprise. But I had to go into your mode, Corey, of live transcribing everything. A lot of praise on the defense. A lot of praise, I guess, after watching the scrimmage. Lots of stuff on the defense. It says that Fabian Lovett is a guy that's pushing himself harder than he's ever pushed. I think brought up Jermaine Johnson on 3 different instances without solicitation. Thought the goal line defense played quite well, he says, in the scrimmage. I guess the one thing he did say, though, he thought that maybe they're a little bit of the way they were operating wasn't as fast as he wanted them to be. But, hey, it's the first scrimmage. And then when it comes to, defensive, talking about the defense, I should also mention Joshua Farmer is a guy that he seems to be really, really excited about. Just was really kind of glowingly talking about him. So that's pretty interesting. True freshman. I mean, I saw him out there. I think he's 96. And I remember I'm like, who's 96? Guy kind of looks, looks pretty impressive. And it's like, oh, he's a true freshman. So that's super cool. In terms of the quarterbacks, we did speak to Tate Rodemaker. Norvell did say that he thought that there was at least 2 plays that he remembers that McKenzie didn't kind of see right. Talked about they got to work on what their eyes were seeing. But then he also said that Jordan had one too, so it wasn't like he was piling on him. But yeah, we spoke to Tate Rodemaker, who talked about all the things he tried to work on. He said he's trying to work on everything physically possible he wanted to work on. Admitted that the long ball, the deep ball, has been kind of a bugaboo for him ever since his days back at Valdosta. But did say, and this is crazy, Tennis Ump saw this, and I was live transcribing it, so it's true. It happened. I was there. He talked about the fact that they're using a different football when they practice, and says that it's like the same football he used when he was in high school. But I thought there's different regulations on that, so we'll follow up on that. Not a whole lot to glean is what I'm trying to say as I give you some sort of prerequisite amount of mandatory football talk. But Corey, what are you hoping to see in the second scrimmage then, maybe, Corey, or what's on your mind? You were in a car in Indianapolis. Did the football team ever come across your mind, or were you just thinking about getting home and being a dad?
No, it definitely did. I did listen to Norvell on the ride back once I got my wireless working, and I keep coming back to I think when you hear talk about defensive linemen, to me that's the most important thing you could talk about. Yeah. And if there's 3 of them that are standing out, and if one of them's a young kid, that is a good deal. That's an exciting development for Florida State, because that defensive line needs a lot of help. And if that kid can come out and help immediately, or show signs, probably more realistically, show signs that he could be a real player down the road.
Yeah.
That's good, man. You need to start stacking those dudes up. You need to start stacking up defensive linemen that can play. And so if Farmer is giving them those kind of vibes, well, that's good to see. And as far as Rodemaker, man, people who listen to this show, which is obviously you folks, because you're listening to my voice right now. I've never really given him, probably not fair. Well, it's definitely not fair, but I haven't really given him much of I haven't really talked about him much when it comes to the quarterback room. It's usually Jordan and Milton, obviously, and then Chuba is the other freshman that we talk about. Maybe people do surprise you. Baker Mayfield was a walk-on, right?
Yeah.
Like there are guys that come from, I think Aaron Rodgers started off like 7th string, or maybe it was Tom Brady. It was one of those guys in college that was like 6th string when they got there and ended up being the starter maybe in 5 weeks. Like Rodemaker could be really good, and we just don't know it. So it's easy. It's been easy for me to kind of dismiss his numbers, his stats, the way he performs, thinking, all right, yeah, man, you're fourth on the depth chart. But maybe he's like, there are guys that take big leaps. And what you hope, and I'm always guilty of this, his game against, who was it they played in the second game?
Jacksonville State.
Yeah, it was so bad. And again, he wasn't put in a great position, but he looked overmatched against Jacksonville State. He was also 19 or 18 years old making his first start, so I understand the pressure that was there. But he didn't look good. And you hope that isn't what stays with you. And that shouldn't just be your one image of that kid. And he might be really good. Chris Weinke in his second start threw 6 picks. You know, a lot of quarterbacks through history have had really bad starts or ugly games to start their career and end up being good. So maybe Rodemaker's the guy. Maybe Rodemaker ends up winning a Heisman or being an All-American. I would love to be wrong with him. But yeah, so far he seems bought in, right? And that's what you wonder most with especially with that position, and especially when you got Milton coming in, but he seems to be all Seminole for right now, right?
Yeah. And don't forget about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looked like Danny Etling continued, and then, some wonder kid showed up and just, laser show in Baton Rouge.
The best quarterback that we've ever seen in the SEC. That was nuts that season he had.
Yeah. The practice I saw 11 on 11, no one really, looked all that great. I thought, Jordan had a little bit of a better performance than McKenzie. The scrimmage, he talked about the fact that he was kind of surprised by the amount of reps he got. I think everybody that was in attendance was a little bit surprised by it. Kenny said that, to your point, guys grow, guys improve, guys take strides, and he thought that, it probably wasn't fair what they put him through last year, but they do feel that he's kind of grown. So my concern was the whole, break him before you make him thing. But then it's like, hey, man, it was Jacksonville State. They ended up winning that game. And then it was, spot duty in a blowout against Miami and things like that. So you'd hope that maybe that's just the kind of stuff that, it's good experience. It's good getting your feet wet. It's not like catastrophic to your development. I just wonder, and, I think Norvell said this about the fact that he thinks that all the quarterbacks, if they've got a clean pocket and everything is kind of on schedule, he feels really good about what they all can do. But then he mentioned that he's also excited about the fact that when things do go sideways, they're also able to make plays and do stuff when things break down because, ultimately that's going to happen in the course of a football game. I just wonder where they're at offensively in terms of maybe game breakers out wide, maybe not having that. The offensive line still trying to kind of coalesce and gel and get a little bit better of just how, reasonable it is to think that, Tate is – If you perform, and they said that whoever gives them a chance to win is going to play. But I just still think that obviously it's Travis and Mackenzie Milton. I think you're saying that too, but it's good to hear a kid that's still engaged and locked in despite the fact that, he's got some guys above him that are probably a little bit more well-positioned. And if anything, it maybe just speaks to the fact that, they got the right guys, or at least guys with the right mindset, and there won't be, vampire, what do they call it, energy vampires, guys that suck the life out of locker rooms and things like that. So that's always encouraging because, we always talk about receivers being divas, but, quarterbacks not playing, sitting and waiting their turn, not always the funnest guys to be around.
Well, and I think, though, when it comes to this particular team in the quarterback position, I do think we all assume there will be a battle. And I know I just started talking about Rodemaker. I really wasn't necessarily even talking about this year. I don't expect him to start this year. But I was of the opinion, okay, is he even going to be here in August? At some point, and they got quarterbacks coming in, at some point you see the writing on the wall, and you're like, okay, I need to go start trying to make a name for myself in a program where I can actually play. But maybe Florida State is that program. Maybe he's showing enough to these guys in the spring, his second spring. Well, no, that's not true. Yeah. His first real spring.
Yep.
That he could be somebody they could depend on in the future, and he might be a legitimate chance to be the starter. I don't think he has a chance this year to do that unless injuries happen. But going back to the point I was trying to make before I started talking just now, maybe the best, I literally was the practices we were out there, and I brought this up before, but you don't have a surefire starter right now. And if Mackenzie Milton is your starter, he needs reps. And you don't want him splitting them with 3 other guys. Like, McKenzie Milton needs all the reps he can get. If he's going to be the guy taking your snaps against Notre Dame, and he doesn't have a full grasp of this offense yet, well, it'd be nice to let him get a full grasp as much as he can in these 15 practices, and then all in most of August. But if he's still in a 3 or 4-way quarterback battle, well, then those reps are being cut in half or cut by 2/3, or I can't do that math.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's what Tate saw. He's like I need all the reps I can get. He's like, I need all the 11 on 11 team reps that I can get, and that was the cool thing about the scrimmage. But to your point, though, it's like, all right, well, it's potentially taking away from a guy that needs him just as much, and then you have to make those hard decisions of who gets them. So I'll trust their judgment on it. But yeah, that's something to monitor as we get to watch more of these practices and scrimmages, hopefully.
But I mean, and look, I hope Chubba gets healthy. He's got 5 months now to get ready for
We'll
fall
see.
practice.
That's bizarre. I meant to, since you weren't on the call, I had to do the transcription, so I couldn't hop on a call. I did want to ask Norvell and be like, so, like, is he even in meetings? Like, I understand, like, you're rehabbing, but, like, why wouldn't you be at practice? I mean, just they want to get him right for summer, but I don't know. That sounds I've never heard of this kind of arrangement before where they're just like, all right, like, you're still on the team and focus on your rehab. And obviously, like, you're in a boot, if you're in a scooter, like, you can't, but
right.
if he's on 2 healthy legs and, I guess his sternum might be or his collarbone is, I don't know. I'll ask that, but I'm sorry. Continue. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. So, but what that did do is it made all 3 of those guys, they're getting more reps now, at least.
True.
Yeah. So that's a positive. McKenzie Milton is getting more reps now than he was when you had 4 quarterbacks out there. Now it's 3. So that should help all of them. They're getting, I can't do the math. They're getting 8% more reps than they were. Is that right?
Please don't.
I'm just going to do it real quick. If there's 4 guys and you're splitting up the reps equally, each guy's getting 25% of the reps.
Right.
Well, now there's 3 guys, so each guy's getting 33% of the reps, so you're getting 8% more reps. Doesn't that seems right?
Well, no, because it's
either way, it helps. It's better than nothing.
If they're all getting 25% of the reps. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
So anyway, that might be a positive about Chubba not being there. Is at least those 3 guys are getting more reps. Only one of them's going to play, and one of them's going to start against Notre Dame. They might all end up playing, but only one of them's going to start against Notre Dame. You'd like that guy to get as many reps as possible between now and September, right?
Right.
So this helps a little bit.
That's a good way to look at it. Look at that. Look at negative what? Negative what?
I'm positive.
This guy.
Anthony, again, I'd like to take this time to apologize for that question. I don't know what came over me. It was a weird weekend in Indianapolis, and I just felt like being negative after your career high in an 18-point win to get to the Sweet 16.
Corey, if you were a head coach, how many guys did you have on scholarship at running back? I wonder about this because of the emergence of Trayshawn Ward, which he had a good scrimmage. Can't deny. I mean, the numbers are what they were. I saw it. I don't know, it's not fool's gold, but I'm definitely not like, oh, hey, watch out, Toafili, because they've got 4 guys on. They had 3 guys on scholarship. Really, so they recruited Toafili. They got Ja'Shawn Corbin as a transfer. Sheffield was on the roster, and they gave him a scholarship as a walk-on. They moved him from walk-on to scholarship player.
Yeah,
and then they went and got a transfer, another one from Auburn, and DJ Williams. And then Trayshawn Ward came here as a preferred walk-on. It was one of the guys that Willie had kind of seen and been on and brought him here. So by the way that some people digested the stats from Saturday and looked at the video of him running on the highlights that were provided by FSU Sports Media, they're like, hey, man, like, watch out. He could definitely push these guys and is not chopped liver. And then, Kenny says, hey, man, if you can help us win, we're going to play you. Man, like, the Duke game, he looked pretty good. I don't know how much of the film they looked at the Sun Bowl. It's one of the questions that's coming up on this roundtable that we're doing about whether or not they should keep this one scholarship they have left and, kind of keep it reserved for an offensive lineman or go after a wide receiver if they don't feel they're fully equipped there. And part of me wonders, like, man, I wonder if Trayshawn Ward continues to run good, if they're going to be like, man, maybe we didn't need to go out and get another running back. I know that, or maybe that they're so committed to running the ball maybe in 2021 that they wanted to have 4 scholarship guys and then kind of a quasi fifth one. But I wonder if like they would admit over beers, like, yeah, we probably should have been fine with Trayshawn, but we could, because heck, man, I feel like 2 scholarships. That was the toughest question on the round table. Was like, what do they do? Like, do they hold on to that for an offensive lineman, or do they go after a wide receiver? It would really be nice if they had 2 scholarships to get both. But I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I would say when you asked me the question initially, I was thinking 5.
Woo.
I mean, their injuries happen, even not like season-ending injuries, but guys tweak something. And I think the what Florida State has though is they have what do they have? Toafili, Corbin, DJ Williams. Those are the 3 scholarship guys, right?
Well, Deontay Sheffield's on scholarship, man.
Sorry, yeah. So
nowhere in the mix,
Sheffield,
though.
and then Trayshawn Ward is part of it, and then you also have Corey Wren and Ja'Kai Douglas who can do it.
Yeah.
Who work back there some. So I feel like they got enough at that position, but look, man, I don't see a problem with their numbers at running back. I don't think you want to get into play a game where you're light on running backs. Because it can be such a grueling position, and guys do get banged up. I think 4 or 5 is like the minimum that you would have at running back.
Just wondering, I don't know how diverse or like how different really they all are. It's one thing when it's like you got Dalvin and Mario Pender and Carlos Williams. Although I guess you could say like Mario and Dalvin were somewhat similar. Dalvin obviously is on a different level of shiftiness and stuff, but then like you had Devontae and you had James Wilder. I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about. Not a criticism, just something to think about to soak up enough show. We're over 40 minutes. I feel good now, Corey. We're good.
We did it, man. We made something out of a random. What is this? A random Wednesday in the middle of March. We still did it.
Pros.
Baseball team plays today, right?
Pros being pros. Yeah, play UCF. That's right. They're ranked in several polls. They're up to 17 in the D1 baseball poll. So that's super cool. I think I want to say they're up to 15 in maybe collegiate baseball. So that's,
I think Baseball America.
Yeah, Baseball America. There you go. Yeah, 17 in division in D1. Baseball America's got them 15th. Collegiate Baseball's got them at 25th, and the USA Today Coaches Poll has them at 21st. And they're, oddly enough, they're 17th in RPI, which is down 2 spots, believe it or not, from last week. Although maybe I didn't look at the date properly on their RPI.
I was going to say that can't be right. You go down for beating a highly ranked RPI team 3 in a row on the road?
Everybody,
come on,
Florida State against the world, man. Florida State against the world.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, who's doing the RPI? Nestler?
Yeah, seriously.
Come on,
jerk. Taking shots. Be a pro, man. SEC.
Hey, I guess I would say the one counter to that is like, man, Florida State fans haven't been able to feel really good about things on a national scale for a while. Their team is ripping someone to go to the Sweet 16. Don't remind them of football. Let them enjoy the moment in basketball. But trust me, folks, you're going to hear about it on Sunday, too. You're going to have 2 traditional football powers, Florida State and Michigan, who aren't coming off the best of years. So I'm sure the fortunes of both football programs will be mentioned at least a little bit during the course of that game as well. But Florida State will be in it with Michigan because it ain't like they've been a great shake since that Orange Bowl either. I mean, I'll tell you what, Renegade falling down before that game might have cursed both programs. I don't know what happened there. Harbaugh, they hate Harbaugh? Yeah, I know, man. Jeez Louise.
I did like somebody said, how many times are they going to talk about Jabril Peppers not being able to play in the game? So I thought it was kind of funny. So
that is funny.
We're never
it's going to be another FSU Michigan game where Jabril Peppers doesn't play. Great.
Like Brady's going to bring that up like 20 years down the road in front of like other Florida State fans. They're going to be like, "What are you talking about?" And he's going to be like, "Never mind." It's
they'll get it. Everybody, all Florida State fans will remember that. They'll remember that moment. That's what we're going to be telling our kids. It was a great win. It was the last win of Jimbo's tenure. The last good win of Jimbo's tenure. And but it didn't really count because Jabril Peppers didn't play.
Yeah.
And and Florida State had Derwin, right? So it wasn't. No, Derwin didn't play either, but that wasn't brought up once because the great Jabril Peppers wasn't available for Michigan.
Well, he was out that whole year, though, right? Like,
Well, still,
16. He got
yeah,
hurt.
sure, but it's like both teams were missing an NFL caliber safety that day, but only one team. Well, remember, I know Florida State, Nooney Murray's having a nice day, but it's they kept talking about how Jabril Peppers wasn't there, and it's like, well, Florida State might not even be in this game if Derwin James had played.
Yeah. By the way, the RPI is from March 11th. I apologize.
Oh, jeez.
It really – just stop it, Corey. Stop it. All right. We'll be back with another show tomorrow. It'll be Renegade Express. Get your questions over on the Travel Council, and we'll get to them. And then we'll do a live show Thursday, maybe 6-ish, 6:30 or something like that. Keep tuned and have your eyes peeled for that stuff. So, Corey, good to have you back in the lower 48.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to be back.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.